Hey everyone, and today I'm going to be giving you some pro design tips for an amazing kitchen for you to put in your own van conversion. So welcome to another episode of Van Build Tech Talks with Curt. I'm Curt, yours truly. Glad to have you guys join along the video. We have some really cool stuff we're talking about today, but it's a lot of stuff, so I want to jump right into the content. And so the first thing I want to talk about in terms of designing your kitchen is most kitchens are built around sort of a cabinet, and that's kind of how I think of it. And so this piece right here is central to your kitchen design. So the first thing I want to talk about in terms of the cabinetry is you can either make these yourself or you can buy them in a home improvement store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, or whatever your local store. You can also get them in sometimes furniture stores like IKEA or whatever. So you can get these that are already built, easy peasy. They have all sorts of different designs. And so I see a lot of people doing that in their own designs. Now, along those lines, most of those for the kitchen are 24 inches wide. And 24 inches wide takes up a lot of space. And so the first tip is look at the ones that are designed for bathrooms. So this one is only 18 inches. So that's 6 inches less than your standard size kitchen cabinetry. Now in my case, I got two from Lowe's and combined them, and I made some modifications to it to make it fit our van build. And so that worked out really well for us. We had to look long and hard to find the right one for us, but our kitchen cabinetry is 48 by 18. And so if I peel this back right here, what you'll see is I have plenty of prep space right here. And so the prep space for doing that, I've got my sink right here, I've got my stove right here, so it makes for a very nice workspace. Now I don't feel in any way that I don't have enough space and I cook and clean all the time. But I did make a modification and I built an extra place right here. So if I need an extra place to store or to put some bowls or whatever when I'm cooking, then I have another tabletop right there. And I did that by simply taking that side of that cabinet, cutting it out, and putting a table in there like this. That works really well. So tip number one is look at your cabinetry. Take time to find the right piece for you. You can probably build it a bit lighter than you can buy these. Some people question on how well they're made. I certainly did. And for me, if it breaks or whatever, then I can just pull it out, put a new one in. Not what I want to do, but it's replaceable. And any of these cabinetries have a shelf life. But, you know, if you're not super handy and like a really fine detail carpenter, kind of like me, then you may want to look at these ready-made. But definitely look in the bathroom section, 18 inches wide versus the 24 inches. It'll give you some extra space to move in the van. Number two is the sink. And so now that you have a smaller countertop, if you decide to go that way, now the bathroom sinks are no longer in play. And most of you who are in van life want something a little smaller than a normal size sink anyway. You still want something with enough size, you know, you want something with enough size and depth where you can do what you need to do, whether it's washing your dishes, washing your face, or just cleaning other stuff up. And so a nice full sink is good. And so again, we got ours from IKEA. I could not find a similar sink online. I will put the dimensions on the screen, but it's a nice deep square sink and we still have room to fit. So where you'll want to look for those, typically those sinks, the smaller sinks, are either again in the bathroom section, or even in kitchens they have the little bar sinks or the center aisle sinks, or you know, for if you have an island, they have a little sink in those. You want to look at those. Those are a bit smaller. Those are the types of sinks that I would recommend you look at for a little smaller sink in your van, but something still functional and big enough for you to do what you need to do. The third tip that I have is, and I covered this a little bit, I actually covered this in depth in another video, is an induction cooktop. Now, the reason I feel like this is a design tip is because look at all this clean surface area to work. And also, as you guys know from us, you guys know from some of our other videos, we have 2 cats, and they love to jump up on the countertop and look out the window. And so we have this mat that when the oven's not in use, we go ahead and put that up there, and so the cats can jump up there, and it's extra surface. If we're working, it's extra surface to put stuff. And so it just makes it a nice big workable counter space for us, so it's multifunctional. And so we love the induction cooktop for a lot of reasons. It doesn't get as hot as the other burner. It just cooks so much faster. And so I have a video on induction versus gas. If you're more interested in looking at that, check that video. I go into that in great detail. But another tip, tip number, what are we on? Tip number 4? Tip number 4 is ventilation. So when you're going to be, if you're going to be cooking in your van, and you know, if you're living in your van, your chances are you're going to be cooking in your van, you definitely need to consider ventilation. So in our case, we have a max air fan right here. It's right above the cook areas. The stove's here, the cook area's here. And so what we can do is turn that fan sucking out. We can open a window in the front, or we can open the max air fan in the back, turn the extra way, and we can get a real good airflow going through the van, sucking that out. Also, the stove is right by the screen door, and so if we have the slider open, obviously that's very good ventilation too. But you definitely want to consider ventilation if you're going to be cooking in the van. It's very important. You're going to be creating some moisture, some steam, and probably using some grease vapors. So you want to get the circulation and get the smells and all that other stuff out of the van. And along with those lines, that brings up another important tip in terms of placement, number 5. And so you want to be mindful of where you put your kitchen area. Now, obviously our preferred choice for our whole entire layout is right here by the sliding door. I love this, and the fact that we went with an 18-inch countertop allows us to have a couch right next to this countertop, and we still have space to freely move about the van, and it makes it very nice. And so that's our preferred position. I've seen in some vans up towards the front, right behind the seats, there's a kitchen area right there. I've seen that quite a bit. I think Indie Projects has a beautiful kitchen that they've built right there. For me, it doesn't allow, I don't see how it allows pass through the van from the passenger seat, and that's actually part of our living space. So that wouldn't work for us, but it works for some others. Another popular area to put it is where our couch is, behind the driver's seat, so to speak. If you're in America, I guess that would be the passenger seat in countries where you drive on the other side of the road. But in any event, that's another popular place. So when you walk into the van, you're looking right at the kitchen. Makes a nice open kitchen area. One of the reasons why we didn't opt to go there was because by hanging it out and using half of the slider door space, so to speak, not only does it give us a nice view outside of there, but we're actually able to pick up about another 24 inches of usable space by sort of cheating on that slider door. And in our case, we really don't need the whole sliding door anyway. So that works out well for us. And then the last common location I'll point out that I see in a lot of builds is back in the back, right? And so people who put the bed in the front, maybe have a day bed that folds up or whatever, putting the kitchen in the back where you can open up the doors and cook and do your business and have that right open out to the back door. So that works for many. But again, location is something else you want to consider in terms of where you're going to put your kitchen. And also keep in mind, it's not just this, but chances are you're also going to have a refrigerator, and you need some food storage. And so that brings up the next topic, but storage. But if you look at here, right above our kitchen, we have our dishes, our cookware, and a lot of other stuff. We also have drawers for silverware and other dishes, and our cleaning stuff right here. And then right over here, we have our pantry, so we have all of our food. So again, it has the storage and the nice work and flow of a normal household kitchen, but it's also compact. And then also I have the refrigerator right here where I can turn around and grab it. And so this is super nice because it makes it a very functional workspace, very easy to cook and very nice to use. Now, I've seen a lot of folks who put the kitchen, I've seen some, I should say, who've put the kitchen in the back and based on various reasons don't have room to put the refrigerator where the stove is. And so this unit might go in the back and the refrigerator would go in the front. Again, I would think about functionality and how you're going to work, how much you're going to use the kitchen or not. As you guys probably know by now, I cook a lot, 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 times a day. And we eat in the van when we're traveling, 90-95% of the time, almost all the time we eat in the van. And so it's important for that. And then the last tip that I will give you is water storage and gray water storage. So not just fresh water, but also wastewater storage. And so this is the one I think that probably most of the people struggle with, and I think there's a good reason for that. And a lot of you live up north in cold countries or are subject to freezing for a good part of the year. And that's certainly a concern if you have water under chassis that can freeze. If you guys are interested in how I winterize my under chassis water and wastewater, I have a video on that. I'll link it in the video. But the 2 jerry cans that you would put under your sink if you were to have your water inside are going to take up almost all this storage under here. And so that's great storage. Again, that's functionality not only for the kitchen, but it's functionality storage for the rest of the van. And so by putting the water under the chassis, we just brought the storage into the van, which is really nice. Now, if you're so opposed to or concerned about freezing, you might consider just putting the fresh inside the van and putting the wastewater, the gray water, under the van. And then that way, you don't have quite the issues if you have some freezing, right? You just want to make sure you keep that drained down and you don't leave freezing water, you don't leave water in it. And so that is a way to get around it. Again, it may not be feasible for you to put your water under chassis. There's some people who have vans that simply there's no space under there to put it. So it's not always an option. I'm very conscious of that. But it's definitely something to consider because it can give you added storage in the van, which is really a nice function. And so, yeah, I guess those are about 5 or 6 design tips. But they really are beneficial. They were really beneficial in this build, and if you think through those things, I think they might be beneficial for you. As always, I want to thank you for joining this Tech Talk. Appreciate you guys' comments. I appreciate your thumbs up. You guys make sure to join into the next one. Take care. Cheers.
If you liked this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when we put out new videos. To see behind the scenes action and help support our journey, head over to our YouTube membership page. You can find the link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in a few days.